because your work is primarily when you work with young people is whenever there's a bad news. Not you never go when it's a positive news. You are called upon. It's a bad news most of the times, which is there's some form of abuse happening with the young people. And again, in the regional context, there are some behaviors, some moral behaviors which are moral and immoral. They are right and wrong. There's a clear black and white. Whether it is any part of the world that is right and wrong, it's very clearly defined from a human behavior point of view. So, how do you translate that in terms of educating the total context of the community, the family, and that individual young person to train the new language that this is right and this is wrong? Because it's not your way of saying things. That's the right way of doing things. That's right and that's wrong. So how do you translate that language?
So it's almost like cultural norms and community norms in many ways. Look, it takes time, because if a child is being brought up in a context where behaviour that is in that family is harmful, it's hurting other people. Now, one of the things that I think a cultural norm is around the world is treat others as you would wish to be treated, or similar. Do not harm others. I think that's a norm that's fairly common across all cultures. So when you're working with children who've been harmed, there is a really interesting sort of, not interesting because it's awfully sad that they've been harmed, but it's helping them see, A, that what happened to them is not who they are. They're more than that. And B, it's helping them look around and going, well, is that normal in other areas? Do you see that that's normal in other areas? And it's not about demonising their parents or whoever harmed them. It's really about helping children understand that there are other options on how to behave. And just because they grew up in a particular world that didn't show that, there are other templates that they can look like. One of the things I love about the men that work with us in our organisation, I love the men that work with us in our organisation, and they're not in a creepy way, They go through all sorts of tests like everybody else in the organisation. We have multiple tests around. We have police checks, but we also have special tests that are done by the Department of Communities to make sure that our staff are safe to work with children. And the men that work in our organisation, the women are just amazing. The men that work in our organisation are they're like gold. It's like a treasure chest for me, because 97% of the children that we look after or come into our services, our therapeutic services, or have been harmed by men. So they've not always seen what a good, kind man can be. And so when we have our men work with the kids, or they see men around and they see that they're good, they're kind, they're wanting to make sure everyone is okay, it gives the kids another idea of what's possible. So you can provide templates, if you like. It's like the children have been harmed by women, and there's quite a bit of physical harm by women as well as sexual harm by women. Again, it's the same thing. They're seeing women who don't do that. They see women who behave in different ways and communicate in different ways. So when they're given ideas of what things can look like, they're able to make different choices. Does that make...
Yeah.